Hey, man.
Hey, how are you?
Doing all right, ready to do the interview, man?
Yeah.
Let me get here real quick. Talk a little baseball, a little rebel. Why you looking at me like that?
Why are you wearing that jersey? What about their past? His
Ba-
past?
Barry Bonds?
Yeah.
What? He's one of the... okay, I know he got a question. You know what? I'll do your favor. I'll go change. That'd be okay? I'll change it something different. Okay.
That's better.
Okay. Yeah, so let's get ready to continue this interview. Well, let's get started.
No, that's even worse.
What? The Houston What I do wrong? It's a Houston Astros shirt. 2017 World Series. Oh, really? I got.
Come on.
Oh. You can at least bang the trash can before I throw it away. Oh my goodness. Okay, welcome to the latest edition of the bestsellers list. And as you see, I'm looking all patriotic, feeling like Americana right now, because I want to talk about America's pastime, baseball. And what better place to start the countdown this week than the USA Stadium here in Millington, Tennessee, historic USA Stadium. Back in 1986, this city struck a deal with the U.S. Olympic baseball team to be the training facility. And they trained them for the 88 Olympics, 92 and 96. And people like Alex Rodriguez, Frank Thomas, Mark McGwire played here in this stadium right behind me. So that got me thinking, since I see this stadium quite often, and now it's about to undergo some changes and become a world-class facility for youth baseball, maybe we should talk about the past stars of the game. Who are the best baseball players of all time? Before people come out here and see future stars of tomorrow, let's reflect on stars of yesteryear and count down our top 10 baseball players of all time. So let's get into the countdown.
Just sail.
Welcome back to the bestsellers list, and we just left from Millington, Tennessee, the USA Stadium. Now we're here in Bartlett, Tennessee, at this field here where the Bartlett Panthers call home, and they won the 2007 state championship. Now we're gonna go back a little bit further in the past of baseball, America's pastime, and we're gonna talk about number 10, Rogers Hornsby, legendary player that played from 1915 to 1937. His claim to fame was leading the league in RBIs 4 times. I think he even put up 143 RBIs in 1 year. This is during the dead ball era where they weren't hitting the ball like they hit the ball today, especially in the 1990s. Roger Hornsby has one of the highest batting averages that you will ever find in the game. It's up there with Ty Cobb and Pete Rose. So Roger Hornsby was one of those transcendent players, and he earns a spot on this list with his longevity, I think 22-year career, and putting up the numbers that he put up back then. So number 10, Roger Hornsby.
Just sail.
Coming in at number 9 this week, this is going to be a surprise or a curveball, pun intended. Rickey Henderson. Now, the caveat for my countdown this week is being a 5'2" player. So you need power, speed, hitting for average, good glove, all those things that you need to be a 5'2" player. Rickey Henderson, the greatest leadoff hitter in baseball history, all-time leader in stolen bases. Rickey Henderson can take over a game with his legs and getting on the base path. Now, his career started in 1979. He played up to 2003, won 2 world titles. He won one with the Toronto Blue Jays and that loaded Oakland Athletics team, where he was the straw that stirred the drink, as they like to say. Rickey Henderson is the all-time leader in leadoff home runs. Basically, a game will start, he'll hit 1-0, whatever team Rickey Henderson was on. So Rickey Henderson is an unappreciated player because he was a little cocky. He rubbed people the wrong way. But if I was starting a team and I needed a leadoff hitter, a good outfielder, I'm going with Rickey Henderson. That's why he makes number 9.
Just sail.
Number 8 this week, we're going way back in time with Jimmie Foxx. Double X, as they call him, 1925 to 1945. One of the original power hitters. He was one of the original guys where people came to the ballpark to just see him hit the ball and how far we hit the ball. He was like a Hank Greenberg. He was like Mark McGwire of my generation. He was that guy that, either he was going to strike out or crush the ball. And he crushed the ball more times than not, 534 to be exact. So he set up a high home run number during a time where it was like only him and Babe Ruth that was crushing home runs like that. So I would compare him to today's Mike Trout, and who might be on this list when it's all said and done. We need to give him some more time, the California Angel, Los Angeles Angel outfielder. But Jimmie Foxx earned a spot on the list at number 8.
Just sail.
Number 7 this week, going back to 1905 to 1928, the Georgia Peach, Ty Cobb. Now, I'll be honest. I read about his history and his life. I know personally, if Ty Cobb was alive today, he would not invite me over to dinner. He don't like black people like that. But if I was the owner of a team and I paid him enough money, I'm sure he'll play for my team, and I will offer him enough money to play on my team. Because he put up numbers back then that you just didn't see every day. That's why he set the all-time hit marker with over 4,000 hits, 4,189 to be exact. Only one person did better than that, Pete Rose. So Ty Cobb is a legend of the game. He might not be the best person, but when you batting a career over 300, 295 triples for your career, 897 stolen bases, when that wasn't a thing back then, you deserve to be on this list. And that's why Ty Cobb comes in at number 7.
Giselle.
Okay, number 6 this week. Okay, this is a personal choice, but he has earned a spot on this list. Ken Griffey Jr. Stopped playing in 2010, so that lets you know he was of my era. And he was known as the Kid when he came in 1989. A special moment, check it out on YouTube, when he hit back-to-back home runs with his dad, Ken Griffey Sr. Ken Griffey Jr. was that guy with one of the sweetest swings I ever seen. Left-handed swing, and success followed him with the Mariners. And he brought that franchise on the map and helped them get that new ballpark that they play in and enjoy today. That's how impactful he was. Then he went back home in the city they grew up. His dad was a Cincinnati Red, and he spent a chunk of his career there before going back to Seattle to wrap up his career. Over 600 home runs, 630 to be exact. Was a little short of the 3,000 hit milestone, but injuries started to hurt him a lot. But he put up numbers. He led the league in home runs 3 years in a row, twice going over 50 home runs, and he did it natural. So that's why Ken Griffey Jr. earns a spot on my countdown and has a special place in my heart. And speaking of special place in the heart, we're finna go back to Millington and talk to a good friend of mine, the voice of the Trojans, Mark Healy. He's gonna talk about his love of baseball. He's a historian of the game. He's gonna give you his top players. He's gonna talk about his Kansas City Royals, of course. And we're gonna just talk about the game for a little while. So enjoy this part before we get back to the rest of our countdown. Hi, it's Thomas Sellers back at another midway point of bestsellers list. And yes, I've taken on the tough task of naming my top 10 baseball players of all time. And I was thinking to myself, I gotta go to one of the best sports minds that I know in the area, and that's Mark Healy. And Mark, I appreciate you taking time. You've done television, radio, you've done stats and everything from across Shelby County, but you pay attention to the pros. I know you're a Kansas City Royal fan. We're not gonna hold that against you for this countdown, so don't let that influence your judgment of his judgment. but Mark, I do appreciate you taking time, and I know you love the game of baseball, and like I said, I gave you my top 3. I'm not going to give you the order because they're going to see that at the end of the video. Okay. Mr. Willie Mays, Babe Ruth, and Barry Bonds. So, who's some of your best baseball players of all time?
It's hard narrowing it down to just 10. Yeah. Being a Royals fan, my first memories going to the game were to see George Brett when he first started.
He was great.
My graduation present for high school was Game 3 of the 1980 World Series. Whoa. With the Royals and the Phillies.
Wow.
So it was nice. I bypassed the 85 series against the Cardinals because I was dating a girl. So that'll tell you where, and that didn't work out.
Yes.
So, and then I got to go in 2015 as well.
Wow.
So, he is one of the probably top 50 of all time. Top 10, that's a little bit of a push.
But personally, you want to put him there because
sure,
baseball does that too.
I do. That's right, and that's how there's so many Cardinals fans around here.
Stan Musial will be number one,
and they want to,
Ozzie Smith would be,
and lately it would be Yachty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I could get real quick. What's your all-time Royals? Off the top of your head, just your all-time Royals.
Brett, Frank White at second, John Maybury at first. Okay. One of the best times I've ever had in my life. 1993, I went down with my cousin and my uncle, and we drove down to Arlington, Texas to watch the Royals and the Rangers. It was back in the old stadium.
Yeah, the Cutting Stadium.
We sat. When we first walked in, I said, "This is a pro stadium," because it looked like a high school stadium. It
was converted minor league.
Nothing fancy. We sat on the second row, down the line next to the bullpen, and talked to the pitchers the entire time. Yeah. But the night on Friday night, the hotel was here, or the field was here, and the hotel where the players were staying at was here.
Yeah.
It was back when the Royals had Bo Jackson.
Oh.
We go to the bar that night. Bo's in the back holding court. We sat at the bar with John Maybury and listened to him tell stories all night.
That is awesome.
It's great stuff.
Yeah. That would make you a lifelong fan if you weren't one.
Oh, yeah.
beforehand.
Yeah.
So, wow. So, who's the rest of your starting lineup for the Royals?
Amos Otis in the outfield. Willie Wilson. Gosh, it's so hard because there's, being a proverbial small franchise, they have a thing, only play 3 or 4 years and then you're out.
That's true.
Probably Alex Gordon, just for the fact that he's been with them.
Johnny Damon was there.
He was.
Yeah.
Gordon's got 7 gold gloves.
Wow.
Came up as a third baseman, couldn't cut it. They sent him back to Omaha.
Yeah.
Came back up as an outfielder, and then
The rest was history.
shortstop. Nobody's really stood out.
Yeah.
You can take a guy and sort of plug him in there. Salvi, Perez, the catcher.
Okay.
Number of pitchers, probably Saberhagen, probably off top of my head.
David Cone was good.
Cone was good, and they made the ultimate mistake of being cheap and trading him.
Yeah.
And he's a hometown guy. He went to high school in Kansas City.
There.
He wanted to be there. They shipped him out.
Y'all could have had that perfect game.
Yep.
So now, Major League, across the board, decades and decades of history to go through. Who's like your top 5? Let's start with number 5.
I'm going to say Lou Gehrig.
Do nothing but respect it. 2,130 games.
I've always admired him just for the fact that he was able to do that, and the production of, yes, the Yankees are just like the Yankees now. They were loaded.
Yeah.
They were able to attract people and pay him money. But to do what he did year after year after year, and once he got his chance, he didn't come out of the lineup for
The old joke, don't be Wally Bell. Take it down.
So just from a personal standpoint, I'd say Gehrig's 5.
Okay, so who's your Mount Rushmore? To be fair,
okay,
my number 4 ranked player, just give a little sneak peek, is Ted Williams. So he'd be on my Mount Rushmore. So who's your Mount Rushmore?
Ruth, Aaron, Mays.
Not Seth.
Although I'm not a Cardinals fan,
Gonna go with
Stan Musial.
Wow.
Just to do what he did for so long. I mean, at age 42, he hit 330.
Yes.
And had 20-something homers and 85 RBI at 42.
Yeah, when it was natural.
Right. So, and you didn't have the artificial turf to give you extra hits and stuff,
Wow. So in that era.
So I'd probably that. I mean, I could go. Griffey's fantastic.
Yeah.
His run in the 90s, and he could do it all.
3 straight years.
Run, defense, just he'd have to be considered. A Williams would have to be considered. I'm not as big on that era of Yankees. Yeah. DiMaggio, Mantle, Berra, yes, they won, but they weren't.
Yeah. Sometimes you can be too rich, too overloaded. But then it makes me think of Derek Jeter and how, especially defense, he was special at just that leadership. So baseball has many different facets. You can go by the numbers, you can go by the era, but it's like, what did they mean to you? So that's why they're hometown heroes.
Right.
You mentioned Bo Jackson, he was a Memphis chick. That's why people connected with the Royals and joined you in their fandom, and still Royal fans to this day. A lot of people are Cubs fans because they watch on WGN.
Right.
People are Braves fans because it was on TBS all the time. Baseball just has that kind of connection with you. So I guess to wrap up things, who else I guess should get like honorable mention from you? Just names that hit you here.
Williams, Rickey Henderson, best leadoff hitter I've ever.
Yes.
I mean, combine the power and the speed. Told you what he was going to do, and he could still do it.
He's in my top 10.
Even more so than Ty Cobb was. Yeah. Cobb was a great, he was an arrogant SOB,
yes.
And nobody liked him. but he could play.
On the field,
But he didn't have that power aspect that Rickey could. And Rickey could just homer to start the game off, and then he'd get on a couple of innings later, and I'm stealing second, I'm stealing third.
Yes.
So Rickey's one of those guys. Griffey. Even though I don't particularly care for him, Roger Clemens.
Oh yeah. His prime and his second prime.
Right. What Nolan Ryan was able to do for so long is just unbelievable.
7 no-hitters.
I was at the stadium in Kansas City in 1991 on a afternoon game in, I think it was August, could have been July.
It was hot.
It was hot. It was Ryan against Saberhagen, and the game went 18 innings.
Wow. Yeah, I bet y'all still got there in 2 hours. Cause I bet they
Oh, no, not that day we didn't. That was a long day, but still, it's just, you remember stuff like that.
Yeah, and the special thing about baseball, you can, Shoeless Joe Jackson, Pete Rose, 2 men might never be in the Hall of Fame, but their numbers speak for themselves, and they're still part of that lexicon of the game when you talk about it. So baseball is that special game. Like I said, it's America's past. I know we usher football, and I know you love your football, and I do as well. It's been ushered into the forefront, but baseball will always have a special place of Americana. Would you agree with that?
Without a doubt.
Okay. Well, appreciate it, Mark, and like I said, I respect your sports mind. I try to steal from him as much as possible. One day we're going to have to do that trivia contest between us.
Yes.
We might even bring a camera to record, see who's the winner. But we're going to get back to the rest of this countdown.
Just sail.
Okay, we're back with our countdown, and once again I want to thank Mark Healy for taking time to express his top baseball players, giving his Mount Rushmore. Before we get to my Mount Rushmore of baseball, number 5, just missing the cut, the legendary Hammer and Hank Aaron. Now, before a few years ago, he was the all-time leader in Major League Baseball in home runs with 755. But here's the most amazing thing about Hank Aaron. He was consistent with his home runs. He never just hit 50 or 60 home runs. I think the most home runs he hit in 1 year was 44, and he did that 3 times. And a consistent hitter. He hit 3,771 hits with a 305 batting average. So he was just a good all-around player. But the historical impact that he had when he tied Babe Ruth's record and passed Babe Ruth's record down here in the Deep South that April night, and I never forget the image of 2 teenage white boys who were running behind him, who just wanted to touch his shoulder and just tap him to say congratulations. That lets me know how transcendent baseball can be in bringing America together. That's why it's America's pastime. And a great person, humanitarian of the game like Hank Aaron, deserves to be on everybody's top 10 list, not only for his numbers, but for the man he is. But he's number 5 this week.
Just sail.
Okay, back with number 4. So now we're into my Mount Rushmore. Number 4 is Ted Williams. Just think, he would have been the all-time leader in a lot of stats if he didn't have to go fight this little thing called World War II. But Ted Williams, the Boston Red Sox legend, has to rank high on my list. From 1939 to 1960 was his career. His last at-bat, home run. That's how just awesome Ted Williams was. He had 159 RBIs in a season, and he had a stretch there for 4 years, his first 4 years in the league, where he hit 127 home runs and batted in 515 runs. Then had to take a little break for the war, came back and put up similar numbers. This dude had one of the longest primes ever. But if he didn't go off to the war for all those years, how good would he have been? What would the numbers be? We only can imagine. But Ted Williams comes in at number 4 this week.
Just sail.
Coming in at number 3 this week, and speaking of being drafted into that war, Willie Mays, the Say Hey Kid. Now, he didn't stay as long as Ted Williams, but he had to go serve his country. But when he was back in the Polo Grounds as a New York Giant, we all remember the catch over the shoulder, all-time legend. Then he went out to San Francisco and brought baseball to the West Coast. And that famous number 24. A lot of people still wear number 24 because of him. He had such a great impact on the game, but we forget all about those superlatives. Let's look at some of the numbers. As we scroll and we look, this man, for four times, he led the league in home runs with 51, 49, 47, and 52 home runs. And that's why he finished with 660 career home runs, top 5 all-time in home runs. Everybody knows about the catch in the 1954 World Series. Defense. You're talking about a 5'2" player? Willie Mays is that guy. And for a lot of people, he ranks number 1 on their list. But it's 2 guys who are better than him, and we're about to expose them in a second. Sail. And And coming in at number 2 this week, who else but Babe Ruth? George Herman Ruth, the Great Bambino, Sultan of SWAT. This dude got a million nicknames because he's an iconic figure, a myth to the game. He pointed, said where he was going to hit it, and he did it. Babe Ruth, the New York Yankee icon and legend. He didn't finish his career with the Yankees, but everybody who sees the highlights knows that number 3 of George Herman Ruth. 714 career home runs. He crushed 60 home runs in a season, which was later broken by Roger Maris, but he did it in 154 games. Babe Ruth is an icon. I don't need to say any more about it.
Just saying.
And coming in at number 1 this week, my apologies to Noah Roland of the Tipton Rosemark Academy Rebels. I appreciate you helping me out in the beginning of the video, but Barry Bonds is my number 1. Let me explain. But hey, you're about to be a senior, coming to your senior year, so I wish you best of luck. New coach, Coach Cole. Congrats on the promotion. Taking up for legendary Coach Brad Smith, who will be at Arlington this year. So we got a small world, nice little tight connection. And all of you guys that I just mentioned are familiar with Barry Bonds. A lot of you would agree he was a Hall of Fame baseball player before the juicing. But when he came into the major leagues from Arizona State in 1986, he came with the Pittsburgh Pirates, wore number 7, and I took a liking to the guy. Then he switched to number 24 and was a 2-time MVP with the Pirates, leading them almost to the World Series. Then he went out west to be a part of the team where his godfather played, Willie Mays, in the San Francisco Giants. And when he switched to number 25, he was just one of the most amazing players I ever seen. Now, after 2000, and the year 2001, things are kind of questionable because his home run numbers just went up. Now he's the all-time leader in home runs in Major League with 762. But let's keep this in mind. There's 2 exclusive clubs in Major League that only has Barry Bonds a part of it. The first 400-400 guy. That means stealing 400 bases and hitting 400 home runs. Barry Bonds is the first and only one to do that so far. He's the only member of the 500-500 club. He went on to steal over 500 bases in his career to go along with those 762 home runs. So he's talking about speed, power, intelligence, just natural gifts to the game, and he has the pedigree. Barry Bonds is my clear-cut number 1 baseball player of all time. So that concludes this week's countdown, and it's naturally, as the bell tolls here, that we got to go to the other side of the game, pitching. Who are my top 10 pitchers of all time? We'll come back next week and find out. Appreciate it.